Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. And I know I'm holding everyone from a happy hour, so just bear with me a little bit. And yes, you're going to be talking to a business person. I'm sorry in advance. Hopefully, I won't get booed off the stage. But truly, it's an honor to be here. And really, we'll talk about Certain Affinity. And obviously, we talk about our journey and how we got there. And, how did we get there? And how do you kind of grow and sustain a studio? Just a little bit about my background. So I am the VP of Marketing and Operations and also a co-owner of Certain Affinity. And I have a pretty diverse background myself. I have about 20 plus years of experience across actually different industries. My main experience is around sales, marketing, and operations. And I've done it in real estate. I've done it in advertising. I've done it in software development and also in video gaming. 12 years of that was at Microsoft. And I have a bachelor's in advertising, and I also have a minor in business. So really can't get any more diverse in terms of the types of businesses I've been a part of, and also the industries that I've been a part of, and really been really privileged. So a little bit about Certain Affinity. First of all, how many people know Certain Affinity? Just raise, wow. Oh, then maybe all of you needs to come and talk about Certain Affinity, not me. So that's awesome. I mean, really, really great to hear. Just so you all know, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we started out as a bootstrap startup just about 12 years ago. It's insane to think that we started 12 years ago. And you can see the pictures. The first office, it was really this little tiny house. And it's incredible. We were just so honored. Now we have a building that we purchased ourselves just about a year and a half ago, and it's a 50,000 square foot building, 3 floors. So just the journey has been amazing. But just a little bit, when we started, it was 8 people. We're now the largest independent indie game developer in Austin, probably the second largest in the state of Texas. And over the journey of the 12 years, right now we have about 155. It keeps changing every day. Full-time employees, probably another dozen contractors. And over the history of the studio, we have made over $100 million of revenue and really built this incredible reputation in the industry. And for those of you who don't know, our focus is on FPS and mainly on console gaming and so on. And finally, really we're known, which is kind of ironic, as a place in terms of stability. Grown every year. We've been profitable every year. We haven't had a single layoff, 12 years as a company, which is pretty unheard of these days. So we're very proud of that. And also just a little bit, our business model is different. I'm going to be talking about that. And I think our previous speaker, she did an incredible job, is that there is no one way when you think about being an entrepreneur, when you think about your business. And so we decided we were going to pave our own path to success. And this 12 years has been really an incredible learning opportunity for us, but really known as the multi-project studio, and we'll talk about that in a sec. And really in the past year and a half, we really have focused on not just doing code development and lead developer on pretty much the AAA space, so Call of Duty, Halo, World of Tanks, Doom, all of those games we worked on, but really kind of doing our own original IP. And in addition to that, I think we're probably the only studio that can say have worked on a Halo, Call of Duty, and Doom at the same exact time. Yes, we did it. And I know they're all competitives, in the marketplace. But yeah, I mean, we have an incredible team, and really it was a privilege to do that. And again, 25 products shipped, 10 different franchises. I, again, think about the 12-year journey. And then finally, just a little bit about, it's not just about making games. We are also getting a lot of recognition locally here in Austin, whether it is, first-time entrepreneur to a great place to work to, you can see all the stuff uniquely in Austin. And again, we have a sense of pride and humility in everything that we do in our studio. And it's really nice that over the past several years, others are recognizing that. And we're really proud to have Austin as our headquarters. I grew up in Austin, and we're really proud of what Austin offers. We want to continue to make Austin a great place to work, live, and have fun. And that's kind of our goal. So how did we get here? Okay, so I'm here and I'm saying we did all this amazing things, fantastic stuff. But I really had to kind of think about the slides today, and I really wanted to make sure it was relevant for the folks here. And I know our journey may be a little bit unique to who we are, but hopefully you can walk away with one or two things today that you can use. If you're thinking about running your own business, if you're thinking about running your own studio, all the different critical things that is important along the way as you think about success. And then here's what we're not going to talk about. You know what? I'm not going to pretend here I know how to make games. Frankly, if we had to depend on my development skills, we'd be bankrupt. That's not my expertise. I know how to run a company. I know how to run a business. And we have incredible, talented development team that is looking at developing those games. And so a lot of times when you ask people about success and you ask them about studio success, they start talking about game success. They start talking about what it takes to make a great game. That's all awesome, and we can talk about that, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We really are going to focus on the business aspect of it. So let's dig in. First of all, and you heard it from the previous speaker, running a business, I don't care if you sell shoes, if you are, making video games, if you're doing software development, it doesn't matter. It's a 24/7 job, right? So you really have to decide, is this something that you really want to be doing? I always joke with people, I used to be a little bit taller before we started. I think I'm shrinking every year. I'm hoping I won't get 4 foot tall, but it's possible by the time we're done. And there are some critical things that I believe is important no matter what business you're running. And, along the way, I'm going to give you some examples of learnings as it relates to how we did it, but also some key things that you can just kind of take away for anything that you're going to be doing. So what are they? Well, number one, relationship matters. And it's not just from the beginning. It matters every day. You're here at this conference. Every single person here can be a value add to you. So take the opportunity to really learn from others that are here. Take the opportunity to connect with someone else. Because you know what? It's a small industry. It's a small world. You never know who you're going to run into, who may be a benefit to you, who you could be a benefit to down the road. Also, that we always talk about, we wanted to build a company that we wanted to work for, that we were wanting to be proud of. And we've been very lucky. So Max Hoberman is the founder. He is our creative director there. And also he's my husband as well. And, he had an incredible career before he started Certain Affinity. And a lot of that was with Bungie. And there is a lot of great examples of what Bungie had done that he was really proud of. And he, in fact, feels that both Alex Seropian and Jason Jones were some of his best mentors along the way. And, I had an incredible career as it related to Microsoft, as it related to any other industry I've worked in. And so we took those elements of what made us really proud of those companies and what were the great lessons learned. And we tried to apply them and make it applicable to who we are today and where we're going. And so we have a vision. We had it from the beginning. And although that had gotten tweaked along the way, that vision still stands. We want to be a great place to work. And we want to be proud of the work that we do, and that will be sustainable for a long, long time. And we like to do that. Next is that it's not just about making games. I know there's a lot of passion, and I always tell people, if you want to make games, don't go into business. Don't have your own studio. Because frankly, you're going to have to do business. And that's very different than making video games. I think it's important to understand, obviously, what success looks like as you're thinking about development. But you're going to be pulled more and more into doing everyday things that's related to running a business than you ever thought you will. So treat it that way. And it's also, it starts out as a business before it is a game, right? And we talked about how it wants to be, we want it to be repeatable. We want it to have different types of source of income and things like that. And so again, you have to always be creative in that and think about outside of the box as you're thinking about your business. And then finally, it starts and ends with people. The team and building the right team and culture is so critical. And so you want to make sure that you're thinking about that. So when we think about the business, and I know there's a lot of content here, and frankly, when I wanted to put the slides together, I could go on. I mean, I could go for days talking about this stuff. I love it. I'm passionate about it. So it was really hard to narrow it down, believe it or not, to come up with what were some of the essentials. And I think, the things I want to talk about, there's a lot on the slide, but the couple of things I want to talk about is one, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We did that. Actually, from the beginning, we chose to have a different business model in how we set up our company versus your typical game company. I think when people start to studio, they don't ever say, hey, I want to go work on someone else's IP. No one does that, right? Everybody wants to make their own game. We actually knew that wasn't a strategy we wanted to take right away. I always tell people, Halo wasn't built overnight. For Halo to happen, it took Bungie 10 years. So there was a lot of iteration. There was a lot of things that happened along the way to make Halo Halo. And so when we talk about Certain Affinity, we talk about it's a journey. It's not a race. And that it is a 10-year, it was kind of a 10-year evolution for us in terms of where we were and where we're headed. And you want to start out with minimizing some of the risks. And part of that is making sure that, you don't want to put everything in one game or one idea. In fact, if you can, we decided we also wanted to be a multi-project studio for that same reason. So we came up with different ways in terms of how do we, have some revenue and income while we're trying to think about how we develop our business and grow our company. And then we also talked about, hey, we want to have different type of a culture in terms of we don't want to just start with one game and then later on decide we're going to, start another game. We wanted to build the team that was able to, start and stop and start and stop at different moments, which meant they had to have a different type of muscle that they were building. Today, we have 4 projects in the studio. 2 of them are our own IP that we're working on, and 2 are partner projects that we currently have. So from the beginning, we established ourselves as we are going to be a multi-project studio. And we did everything we could to design, to develop, and to create an environment that supported that from the beginning. And you have to have some fluidity in the organization. So in terms of lessons learned, we're not who we were 10 years ago, and we know that. And so you got to be able to be flexible in terms of your business plan, in terms of your vision, in terms of even the direction you're taking the company. Because if you stay the same way, you're going to go out of business, right? You got to be able to be flexible with what's happening in the trends and so on. And sometimes people let their ego get in the way of good business, which it happens, but you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You have to be really open. You really have to embrace change and also design an organization that's willing to do that. I tell people, to me, Certain Affinity, 1 year at Certain Affinity is like 1 dog year because we move at the speed of light. It's insane how much gets done. And it's true. And again, we've really built an organization that supports that embraces that. Also, good advisors is important, and you heard the last speaker also to speak to that. And I think that, again, be careful who you're getting advice from, right? Your best friend is always going to say to you that what you're doing is the fantastics and sliced bread. Trust me. That's not the advisor I'm talking about. And also, you have to be able to understand that at some moments in time, you're going to outgrow your advisors. So, who we had at the beginning of our journey as a company, it's not who we have today, right? I'm already thinking about not who we are today, who we're going to be 5 years from now, who we're going to be 10 years from now. And the kind of advisors we have are the people that are going to take us through that next phase, take us through that journey. So take your time, have a high bar, and work with quality people. And if you're not finding them, ask around, right? Because frankly, you know, anybody has advice. You can ask them. But everyone has an opinion. But you want to make sure that you're getting the right advice and have the right business, advisors to help you throughout this journey. And finally, focus on what's best. I know that sounds silly, and I know everybody says it, but really work with your strengths. Don't try to do and chase after the shiny objects. They're going to always be out there. But you got to be true to yourself. And if you don't know what you're best at, then you better go find out, right? Because how can you have others working for you? How can you build a company around a thing if you don't know where your strengths are, what your differentiation is, and how you're going to get there? And so very, very important to be true to who you really are and kind of stick to that. So building a business and an environment that you always wanted to work for, right? The culture is so key. And we're at an interesting point in that, we're growing so rapidly, and it's about how do we keep what makes us great and continue to do that. With 155, and we're looking to double in size over the next, year and a half to 2 years. It's a big challenge, and trust me, it's hard. It's a hard thing, and we think about it every day. How do we keep that essence? And so part of that is letting go of the things that also hold you back, and really embracing the things that are going to help you in the future path that you have set aside. And better business practices make industry stronger. I can't emphasize that enough. We always say that we don't hire assholes. This is the entertainment business. We all know, right? And we genuinely avoid that where we can. There's no egos. There's a sense of humility. There's a sense of passion and pride in every single person that's there. They feel the ownership. It's not just about us succeeding. It's us as a team succeeding, and they understand that. And, it goes a long way, and we try to be a good citizen as it relates to the industry. We try to kind of set a good example, not just in the industry, but in the community. We're here, we're working here, we also living here. We believe in doing what's good for business, what's good for our people, and also being a little bit socially responsible. And I think in this moment in time, it's so important as business leaders to really have that sense of accountability to your people. Yeah, right? They are your number one most valuable asset of any company. And so it has to start and end with your people. And so every decision you make, it's important to ask that question. Is it good for business? Is it good for our people? And if the answer is no, you really need to think hard, right? Whether that's the right thing or not. So business relationships matter. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. I think that, you get this thing sometimes where, people are like, well, I'm not really an expert in this. It's not my forte. I'm sorry. You're running a company. You better like it now, right? Here's the deal. Like, nobody said it's going to be easy. Nobody said it's you're going to be a subject matter expert in everything. But at the end of the day, it's your business. You better care, right? So you better have that passion. You better have that energy, and you better bring that knowledge. And no one can represent your business better than you can. That doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, you don't bring expertise along the way. You're going to need that, right? But at the end of the day, you have that accountability, and you should care, because it starts with you. The other thing is about, people want to do business with people they like. It's true. So don't be an asshole. Again, it's a small industry. People talk, right? And we're really proud of what we've been able to do as in terms of the journey as the company. And there's a trust that we build. There's a credibility we build with so many partners. It's not every day, you're going to have Microsoft be like, all right, help us make the Halo game, right? I mean, that is their bread and butter. If you think about Call of Duty, if you think about any of those games, and frankly, most of the time, they like to do that in-house, right? So the fact that they have an external developer working hand in hand in the same engine, doing that game with them, says a lot about the credibility we build, the trust that we build. We haven't missed a single milestone in the history of the company. That was done on purpose, right? It's an art and it's a science, but it's back to meeting the commitments that we have made to the people that we made them to. And it's about that consistency. I know the previous speaker spoke about that. It's true, right? Consistency matters. People want to work with people who are going to deliver and who's going to meet their commitments and are true to what they say. And the flexibility in approach is another one. And then finally, I would say don't waste people's money. And oh my gosh, that's my biggest pet peeve. And you see that a lot also when people go and raise money. They're like, oh, we just got VC money. It's fantastic. It's like, okay, how are you going to be responsible for that? How are you going to make sure that you're not being wasteful, right? It's someone's money, but whether it's yours, whether it's someone else's, it's still, you have an accountability to those dollars. And you need to think carefully about how you're going to spend money. And to this day at our company, we take that stuff pretty seriously. I get this question all the time. What's my budget? And I'm always like, 0. Give me a business reason why I should care and give you more, right? So we care about it. It doesn't mean that we are not into spending money. It doesn't mean that we don't care. It's that we want to make sure there's been enough due diligence, that there's been enough things done in advance to make sure, again, it's good for business and it's the right thing to do for our people, right? Let's see, what else? Well, I think it's without saying don't agree to something that make you go bankrupt, right? A kind of important deal. Sometimes when you start a business and you're doing your, kind of your thing, you make commitments that, you're desperate and you just want that project. And I'll tell you, it's going to be a mistake, right? You want to make sure that you can deliver to that, back to that consistency, because it's going to bite you later. And also in negotiations too, it's hard, right? I mean, frankly, we're a small company, and here we are, dealing with Activisions of the world, the EAs of the world, Microsofts of the world, whoever it may be. But we have been able to build that reputation slowly. Every project we worked on has really added to our portfolio and our pedigree in terms of who we are as a studio. And that has come a long way in terms of the reputation we built. And people are open to that now. And we have a lot more leverage, but it didn't start at day one. And probably in terms of the deals that we made to date, it's come a long way in terms of sophistication in how we do business. You're not gonna have that right away, but you're gonna build that over time. And so back to having good advisors, people who've done it. Because I promise you, people have, and if you don't know who they are, then you better go find out who they are in terms of your area of expertise. And there's so much knowledge that you can learn from others around you in how they did it and what made them successful and what advice they have for you. So you're not repeating the same mistakes, and you're kind of learning from that. So building the team and the culture, this is also really dear to me. My most passionate thing is actually the people aspect of my job. I get so energized, and it's sometimes, frankly, overwhelming to come into the office every day and know that I have this incredible team that are so passionate and care every day about what they do. And it just builds that accountability, like, oh shit, you can't screw this up, right? Kind of a thing. And I think that having the right people is important. And so you don't ever want to compromise in terms of the quality and in terms of what your standards are, in terms of the talent that you have. So it's important that you think about that. And I always tell people, I'm never looking for someone when I need them. I'm always looking, always. I don't care, grocery store, T-Mobile last time. I met someone who actually, his brother worked at BioWare. I mean, you'd be amazed, who knows who. And so building that connection and that relationship is so important. And I'm always looking for great talent, because if I don't need them today, I'm going to need them tomorrow, and I'm already thinking ahead. And I want to be able to pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey, remember how we talked about X, Y, or Z? Guess what now? I could really use someone, and I think you'd be brilliant at it. So always be looking for great talent, and don't compromise your standards based on being desperate about getting that role filled, because you're going to pay for it later, right? If it's not the right fit, if it's not the right thing for the company, it's going to have bad consequences, and you want to avoid that. And trust me, we've done it too. It's not like we got it right every time, and we learn from our mistakes. And the idea is that you learn from them and you grow from them, and hopefully you don't repeat them, right? And you have to also know when to let go. And, this is business. It's not charity. I'm sorry. You know what? There's tons of great companies out there. And in general, we work in a lot of our time at work, right? And so it's important that you love what you do and you're in an environment that you really enjoy. So make sure that if someone isn't a right fit, you address that right away and you don't let it linger. And also, people sometimes, again, just like advisors, outgrow you, or you outgrow them, frankly, and they cap out. And it's okay. It's all right, right? There's other opportunities out there that may be a better fit for them, and, you need to help them do that. We believe that, we're an extension, so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if they're out there and they're successful, then we're all successful, right? It's a great experience for everyone. And not everyone is a fit for a startup. That's really true. And, when you're in the startup phase, you have to have so much flexibility. And, if they want that predictability, if they want that, even that paycheck, right, that comes in every month and so on, that may not be an environment they should be in. There's a lot of ambiguity. And at the beginning, you're trying to figure out how to make this work, how to make the business successful. And, also you need to have people that can wear multiple hats. You can't have a lot of specialists at that moment, because frankly, you don't need that at that moment. I think now, as we think about the company, we have a little bit more specialists, but almost everyone on the business team, I can say, wears multiple hats, and they chip in where they can. And that versatility is important, and it goes a long way for a long, long time as a company. So finally, I did the whole thing myself. I'm really proud of the little drawing. But it's true, it takes a great idea, a solid business plan, right? A big talent, hard work, determination, and honestly, luck to make it work. And there is no shortcut. And really, truly, we all have this grand plan in our heads that, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Oh, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, sure. But it may not be. And again, you got to be able to, deal with the ups and downs along the way. And if you can survive the downs and make it through the ups, that's awesome. That's amazing. And so be really realistic about what it will really take, and make sure it's really the right thing for you. And again, it's a lot of hard work, and I enjoy it. I'm really proud of it, and but it's not for everyone. And you really got to do some soul searching to really decide if running your own studio is the right thing for you. And I think that is everything. So thank you, and I guess I'll open it up for any questions.